Hello, nerds. Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your week in Nerdom music edition for the week of September 17th. Yeah, we took 2 weeks off. Then these are going to be short. This week I'm still editing together Adventures in Photography, the last day of How to Comic-Con for Salt Lake, as well as cosplay videos and stuff for clients still. So all of that editing on top of the regular editing load for the week in Nerdom, not really going to happen. So we're going to cut these a little short, and I'm rambling, so let's hit the intro real quick.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
First things first, this week, guys, in music is Soulfly. We talked a little bit about their new record that's coming out. It's going to be October 19th. I'm fairly certain we covered that. That's not really the news. What the news is, they just released the first single off the album. The name of the song is Dead Behind the Eyes, and it is featuring Randy freaking Blythe on vocals. As far as like the tune goes, again, links in the description as per usual, but as far as the tune goes itself, it's kind of what you would expect out of Max Cavalera, especially the Soulfly project that he's been doing since nu metal was a thing. This tune specifically, I can't speak for the whole album yet because it's not out, but specifically this tune so far seems... Yeah, it's not as cookie cutter as previous Soulfly outings have been. That being said, it's not really breaking any new ground either. It's somewhere in between, and that's okay, considering Sepultura was pretty... You can tell a Sepultura song. You know Max Cavalera's style. Even in the Cavalera conspiracy stuff, like the bits that he does, and also in Kill or Be Killed, the bits that he does, the bits that he contributes to those projects sound like Max Cavalera, sound like Sepultura and Soulfly. This also sounds like Max Cavalera, but it sounds like Max trying something new. This is a lot more speedy, kind of extreme style. This is a lot more like death metal kind of elements to it. Structurally, it breaks from the verse, chorus, verse traditional structure. There's a breakdown in it, which you do get from Soulfly, but I just feel like this one wasn't as transparent. This one you didn't see coming a mile away. And you have Randy Blythe's vocals on there, which makes it that much more fun. So it's definitely worth a listen. Jury is still out as to whether or not the album is going to be worth a buy, but so far, stream this one on your Spotify or find it on the YouTubes. It is coming out. The record is coming out October 19th again. The name of the record is going to be Ritual, and if you dig Soulfly, it sounds like so far this one's not going to disappoint. If you're looking for Max Cavalera to do something that doesn't sound like Max Cavalera, you're going to be disappointed because I don't think he can do anything else. But it's still heavy. If you're looking for heavy, this is the place to go. And we're moving on. Next, we are talking about Mushroomhead. That's right, Mushroomhead. Follow the card. You can see my interview with Stitch, their keyboard player. Last time they were in Colorado, I was privileged enough to sit down with him, and he alluded to the fact in the interview that they are constantly working on new material, because it was reported on Blabbermouth almost 2 years ago now that they were hitting the studio to record a new album. That's not really their process because they own their studio. They're always in the studio working on new material. With the departure of Waylon, that kind of set things back, I'm sure. And then definitely with the departure of Jeffrey Nothing and to a lesser extent Tommy Church, who are doing a side project together right now, which is very strange. Also, the last side project that Jeffrey Nothing did by himself just sounds like Mushroomhead light. So keep that in mind when that project finally gets there. And as we get closer to it, we'll talk about it and things like that. But we're talking about Mushroomhead right now. And again, their process, they're constantly writing. They're always in the studio recording things, refining things. From the little bits that I've been able to gather together, I feel like they also use the studio space as a rehearsal space so that they can get the new guys up to speed. The Jeffrey Nothing replacement, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I apologize. There have been recorded tracks already. They're existing songs, so they effectively just took Jeffrey Nothing's vocals out and put the new guy's vocals in. It's that kind of stuff. That they're always doing things in the studio. But on a radio station interview that Skinny did, Dave Felton, the drummer, with a radio station called Rock 108, he says that even with all of the setbacks they've had recently, there is still... Their goal right now is to have the new record out by the spring or early or late winter, rather, of next year. So maybe we will actually get it this time. This is the first time that they have announced themselves that they will be putting out a record. So I feel like if they're to the point where they're comfortable saying, hey, we're going to give you new music, then it's likely going to happen in the time frame they're giving us. And they have a softer goal of getting a single and possibly a video to that single out by Christmas time. So that's freaking awesome. Again, if you missed the card, then definitely check the description down below. You can go watch that interview I did with Stitch. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of a long one. There's a couple of audio glitches that I go over at the beginning of the video, but it's definitely worth a watch, so go check it out. We are moving on, though. Speaking of Randy Blythe, well, Randy Blythe related things. We're talking about Lamb of God. We talked, they went out on their European tour in support of Slayer, and Chris Adler had to sit out, and it was kind of this big cloud of mystery. Well, why is Chris not going to be there but on the drum throne? Well, apparently he was in a motorcycle accident late last year and was recouping and had to do surgery. If you've been paying attention to their Instagram page the last few days, then you have seen the pictures of Chris after surgery, and it looks brutal. So, yeah, he was recouping. That's why he was not on tour. Just a real quick update on the Lamb of God thing, and we're moving on. Next is a band I never thought I would mention on this show, in any sort of positive light anyway. I feel like eventually when I can, afford to do such things, I want to do a comparison. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're talking about Five Finger Death Punch real quick. Eventually, I would like to compare Ivan Moody in Five Finger Death Punch to everything he did before that, because Ghost Machine was a very unique, very awesome little side project he did, 2 albums with Ghost Machine, and the Motograder record that he did, which was the first thing that kind of got him known in the metal underground or metal scene in general, are leaps and bounds beyond anything he's done in Five Finger Death Punch. But I'm birdwalking, because that's not what we're talking about. What we are talking about is their new single, which is called... I didn't even write down the name of this single because it's relatively irrelevant. But the reason we're talking about this new single, the video and the kind of subtext of the lyrics, because Ivan just writes super general these days. There's not a whole lot of specificity It's kind of what you do when you want to get radio airplay all the time. So through the power of Google, I just looked it up, and the name of the song is When the Seasons Change. And it's dealing with the other side of this police brutality narrative that we seem to be getting all over the place. Zoltan Bathory, the guitar player for Five Finger Death Punch, did an interview specifically about this video because they dedicate it to one of the officers from the Las Vegas shooting who used himself as a human shield to protect civilians and subsequently died during the shooting. So they've always been supporters of the military, and now that's kind of translating into the police force. And Zoltan made a fabulous argument for why they are doing this, to shut down any of the liberal types that are bound to take offense to this, because the police are the devil unless we're, being threatened with facts and reason, and then we're going to call the police and have them arrest you. What Zoltan said was there are approximately 50, and I feel like that's a low estimate, but it's not super low. There's approximately 50, and this is a rough quote, deadly police shootings every year. And I feel like the numbers I saw last were actually somewhere closer to 300, 300 to 400 even. But still, his comparison was that versus medical malpractice. There's almost 300,000 deaths a year due to medical malpractice. And we don't ostracize doctors. We don't call them names. We don't threaten to kill them. We don't deny their rights as people. We still uplift them onto these pedestals because they're doctors and they save lives. So do police officers, and that's the point that he was trying to make, and that's why we're talking about him, because I feel like even if the song is really weak, because, again, Five Finger Death Punch, very radio-friendly, very easily digestible, which in most genres is not a bad thing. In the genre of metal, generally not a sign of quality music. But that kind of sentiment is something that you don't hear a lot of, so I feel like it needs to be broadcast whenever possible. So I can get behind their ideology. I just can't get behind their music. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, but we're moving on. And this is our last bit of news. We are talking about Atreyu, and my heart breaks slightly because this is not the best thing about Atreyu to be talking about. Link in the description to their new video. The new video is called The Time Is Now. This is also on In Our Wake, which is also coming out in October. They put out this song, and I didn't see it through normal channels, which usually is just me finding it on YouTube for bands that I really like Atreyu. But this song I actually found through that one website, which we no longer speak of on the show. It's not very good. It's not very good. It's okay. When they came back with Long Live, they set an expectation. Because Congregation of the Damned, Lead Cells Paper Anchor, those two records kind of strayed from the sound that a lot of people had grown to love, that had been perfected on Death Grip on Yes, or not really perfected. It was perfected with The Curse, but built up with Suicide Notes and then The Curse, and then kind of plateaued with Death Grip, and then kind of started sinking a little bit with Lead Cells and Congregation of the Damned. Long Live was after a pretty long hiatus. They got back together and went, let's make good music again. And that was a fantastic Atreyu album. The 3 songs we've got so far off of In Our Wake are not fantastic. One of them is good. The other 2 are, well, not this one. Well, mediocre, I guess, is a fair assessment of this. It's mediocre. the writer whom I really regretfully that wrote the article that kind of showed me that this had been released, I very regretfully agree with him when he said it kind of sort of sounds like Imagine Dragons. I don't think, like, that wasn't the first comparison that I made, but it's the only one that stuck. And it's really disappointing. They did, and it's not even that Atreyu's music was super complex or even really that difficult to listen to. It's not Meshuggah by any stretch. However, it did have a soul. There was definitely a lot more to it. There was a lot more artistry there, and these songs off this new record feel like they're losing that touch. I'm hoping beyond hope that these 3 songs are not the best examples of what's on the record. I'm hoping that the other 8 songs or however many songs they're putting on this album are 10 times better than what this is, because this really has me doubting whether or not this is going to be a good Atreyu record, and whether or not I really am at bat for them as much as I once was. But leaving on a bad note, that is the end of this episode, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching all the way to the end. What did I miss? What should we talk about next week? Definitely let me know in the comments down low. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. That is the place you can go. You can find all the freebies. I promise I'm going to start putting more stuff up there, but right now it's pretty much just links to everything else. The Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook, all of that stuff you can find linked to on generallynerdy.net. You can also find links to the stores, so you can go get your nerdy swag, get your Generally Nerdy shirt. There are a bunch of really great t-shirts up there. There's 3 different stores to get all of that gear from, so go check out the website, generallynerdy.net. If, however, you want to support the channel a little more directly, there is a Patreon, patreon.com/generallynerdy. That's where you can go, 4 tiers. Everybody knows how Patreon works. We're going to kick on to the next bit. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button. If you like this episode, click the like button. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, then click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before we go, guys, always remember that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.